So I want you to think about this for a minute. If you can put 48-hour grafted cells into a finisher colony to get them all finished up, why can't you just put those 48-hour grafted cells in your mating nukes? And that's the premise to what I'll be doing today. I'm going to be taking a 48-hour grafted cell and placing them in mating nukes with nurse bees in each mating nuke. And the nurse bees will finish off the queen cups. Hopefully the queen emerges, comes out, takes a mating flight, comes back, starts laying. That in essence is exactly what we're doing today, and it should be a fairly simple process. Yesterday I prepared my double brood box hives by shaking all the bees down into the lower brood box, bringing up 4 frames of brood, putting a queen excluder down, and then letting the nurse bees climb back up and cover up the brood frames and frames up above. And I use these frames to populate my mating nukes. You know, it's just one option that you have. You can just go into colonies and skim off frames, but be very careful that you don't grab your mated queen. So scan your frames very, very carefully if that's what you're going to do. I have to do this rather quickly. I'm going to take all the frames out of this box, populate these, throw them in my truck, and we're going to go over to the cell builder, and I'm going to pull out the grafted frame, and I'm going to place it in actually in this 2-frame mating nuke just for transport over to the farm. That's where my mating station is located. And then I will pull the cells out one at a time out at the farm and place them in all of these nukes, and we'll show that a little bit later. So without further ado, we're going to get started on this hive. Don't have smoke today. Hopefully, this is kind of a little defensive hive, so hopefully they're not too ornery this morning. It's not quite up to, it's not quite too warm out, so a lot of the foragers might still be in the hive. Actually, I'm just going to drop that right there. Okay. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to take my cell builder here, or my cell bar, with all my drawn out cells, and just place it right in here. And the bees on it will keep those cells at a nice temperature for a bit. Okay, now real quick, I do want to go in here and take care of any queen cups that are building. Don't see anything here. This one should have some, I would guess. Wow, this is a very, very, very full frame of brood. Wow. Okay. Cap brood. Well, we'll do that a little later. I wanted to see if they were building any swarm cells queen cells. You know, I like Cayman Reynolds' channels a lot. I watch a lot of his videos. But there is one thing I do disagree with him in. He uses full 5 frames for his mating nooks, where I only use 2 frames, or we only use 2 frames here. And the reason I disagree with it is that I'm using up less resources to get the same result. I want a laying queen. And yes, they do fill up this 2-frame mating nuke rather quickly, but I will transfer these over into 5-frame nukes as soon as the queen starts laying. But I am not wasting resources. I'm only wasting 2 frames, or risking 2 frames, in the event that the queen doesn't mate or the cell doesn't take or whatever. Whereas in a 5-frame nuke, I'd be risking 5 frames of bees in the same endeavor. So why not only risk 2 frames of bees, get the queen laying for a week or so, then transfer them over to a larger nuke and let them expand into that. Honestly, these bees aren't going to produce me any honey this year. These are for the overwinter. These are for overwintering and populating my my production colonies next year for winter losses. That's what this is all about, picking from the survivors. So I don't see anything wrong with 2 frames versus 5 frames. Actually, I think it's a better option for you. Yes, yeah, I have to get different equipment. But all I did was sacrifice a 5-frame, and I split it in 2. That was it. So, in my opinion, no harm, no foul. So I have exactly 7 left over, and I'll put those in a finisher and let them finish, and then I'll put them in roller cages and let them hatch out. So I got 19 mating nukes out here. I'll check back here in a couple of days, see how things are going. Making sure that the queen cells were accepted and whatnot. Then I'll just leave them alone, and then we'll come back at on day 16, 17, and make sure that they were all. Just check on, see how they emerged, see what things look like out here. But they should do well. They should do well. Yeah, I'm going to do that, and the dog's going to work on pulling out all the burr balls out of his fur coat, because he just won't stop going back there, and that's where they all reside. So I'm going to take the remaining 5 frames, and I'm going to create a nucleus colony, and I'm going to put a cell in that one too. I'm going to do a 5-framer in that one, just to use up those bees. So might as well not waste them. So, okay, till next time, happy beekeeping, and remember, all beekeeping is local. Take care.